Hey everybody, thanks for joining me this afternoon. This is Tony, the Geeky Agent from Remax here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I am actually here in my Upper James and Rymal office for the first time doing this little interview here, so hopefully the technology holds out. We're trying something a little bit new today. It's got a nice little fancy background here. I like this little boardroom, so I thought we'd just try it out here. We're going to be talking with Danny Wood from Dan Wood Coaching. He also runs BrokerageNation.com. That is his main website there. He is going to be speaking at the OREA REALiTY Conference starting on February 27th. His primary topic on his own little moment in the sun there will be about He'll be talking about live video, the power of live video, and how to use it to generate leads for your real estate business or for other businesses as well, but specifically focused on real estate. In addition, he'll be sitting on a panel with a couple of other people talking about social media strategies in general. I've known Danny for a number of years. He's actually spoken at my brokerage talking about various apps and how to use that. He is the master, I think, of the 4-hour work week. I don't know where he gets the energy and time to do all the things that he does, but he is probably one of the most organized and efficient dudes that I know. I respect what he knows. His knowledge base is just huge, in my opinion. So we're going to be chatting with him. We'll probably branch off into a bunch of different topics. He is coming to us live in a second as soon as I can get him unmuted and getting him ready to go. Let me unmute his mic here so we can actually hear him. That's always good. And there he is. Hey, Danny, how you doing?
Perfect. Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Let me just get this out of your way there so we can actually see what you look like. Where are you right now?
I'm in Orlando, Florida. So I'm doing a 3-year road trip chasing the sun. And so every 2 months, I kind of pick a big compass to navigate towards. So we went to Disney to live here. We've been here for a couple weeks now. And then I'm going to Largo, St. Petersburg area to bring my niece for spring break. And then after that, we're going to go up the East Coast to Newfoundland
Right.
to watch all the icebergs break. So between then, we're just going to zigzag around based on every month, pick a 2-hour radius of what's the best thing to do and where's the coolest place to live. So that's where I am right now.
I just want to let everybody know that I am watching the feed, so if you see me looking down, please feel free to ask any questions you want. Put them in the comments below. There is a slight lag in the transmission, so you see everything about 30, 40 seconds after we actually transmit it. So if I do take a little bit of time to read your question and that, don't worry, I do see them there, and we'll try to get to them. So if you have a question for me or Danny, a question about live video, social media strategies, pretty much anything like that, please feel free to leave them below, and we'll try to get to them before the end of the session. I did mention the 4-hour work week. I'm wondering, when I talk to you when you're telling me about this journey, and I know we've discussed and you've done sessions here at Remax Escarpment about outsourcing, about getting your using the internet to your full advantage to have assistants basically around the world doing work for you. So you remind me of that Tim Ferriss book, The 4-Hour Work Week, where he just outsources everything and basically works 4 hours a week. It's like, how do you manage to do what you're doing right now and still keep a thriving, successful business going?
Well, it's a pretty good title, but I can't make it a 4-hour work week. I've got it down to a 4-hour work day. So to me, that's pretty comfortable. I work about 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, consistently. Some days it's 6 hours, but it's usually 4 to 6. But I couldn't do a 4-hour work week. Maybe I didn't read the book thoroughly enough, but for me personally, a 4-hour work day is realistic, where I can do everything I have to. And it actually started with that book. I read the book. I was in California at Hollywood. There was a mastermind meeting with the top agents in the United States. I'm from Canada, but they invited me along anyways. And this was in 2008. I don't know when his book came out, but it was just after when his book came out.
Sure.
And the question was asked, how many of you are using a virtual assistant? And 80% of the room went up, their hands. And I was blown away. I'm like, wow, I got to get on this. So, and it was just perfect timing, because I was literally reading the book on the way to that meeting, which it wasn't like we were told to read that book. It's just by chance. That's
Sure.
the book I grabbed off the shelf. And ever since then, I've been working with VAs, virtual assistants, from all over here in Canada, some in the States, a couple in the States actually, Australia. So it's not necessarily about outsourcing to the cheapest dollar.
Right.
It's more about outsourcing to the right talent.
Right. I know we've discussed that quite a bit. And is that part of the services that you offer? Like you're sort of teaching people how to employ virtual assistants in addition to all the other things that you do?
Yeah, well, I have a whole seminar already pre-recorded on YouTube. Anybody can find it. If you just ask in the comment here, we can post the link. And it takes you through the whole process of how do I source them, how do I hire them, what types of jobs do I give them, that sort of thing. So I go through the whole process from beginning to end in that video. So people wouldn't necessarily have to reach out to me because I've already laid the foundation, but if they wanted to, they could reach out for sure.
Absolutely. And so I know you were talking this morning, you were live this morning. I mean, I know you and I and a few other people that we sort of talk to fairly regularly make pretty good use of live video on a regular basis. So I know this morning you were talking about something a little bit different, a kind of a different sort of gathering and breakout session. What kind of new things are you adding to your coaching service and your services that people should know about?
The main one for the audience listening would be it's a done-for-you marketing plan. It's more for the agents that are doing geographic farming. So if anybody is already doing postcards, direct mail, bench bus, billboards, that sort of thing, what we're doing, it's $50 a month, and we do 7 different billboards targeting that postal code or zip code if you're in the States. And it includes Google remarketing for free. So for $50 a month, it's like a no-brainer, but it's 100% a branding play. It's not a lead generation call capture type of thing. It's all about reminding your sphere of influence and the area you want to dominate about who you are and what you do. So that's kind of like my upsell program that I have, like, do you want fries with that type of thing?
Sure.
So that's the thing for the agents. People, like, I'm known as Dan Wood Real Estate Coach, but my bread and butter and my biggest source of income is helping brokerages and owners with agent recruiting. But if I said Dan Wood, agent recruiter, people would be like, oh, he's not in it for me type of thing. Like,
sure.
So I position myself as a Dan Wood coach because I am. I do one-on-one coaching with agents. We share a computer screen and we chip away. So some agents, I've had some where they're like, I need help getting a virtual assistant. So we share a computer screen and I do it for them, but they watch and I educate them as how to do it.
Right. And sorry, go ahead. That
coaching isn't like a monthly phone call where you're confirmed or committed to making a monthly payment. It's pay as you go, kind of choose your own adventure. Some people come back to me quarterly, some people monthly, some people just 1 or 2 times.
Yeah, pretty much as needed, right? They contact you and say, hey, I need your help this month on this issue, and you just go at it, right? Yeah. Yep. That's awesome. So now we're basically going to focus a little bit on the talk that you have coming up on the February 27th here, or the conference starts on February 27th. I think your talks are primarily on March 1st. So you're on 2 panels. You're going to be on the social media strategy with Andrew Foliato and Rebecca Mountain, I believe.
Yep.
And you also have your own standalone little presentation on the power of live video. So without completely giving away all that sort of stuff. And you have a third one as well, or no?
Yeah, there's 2 sessions that I'm doing plus the panel. So the other one is actually on the outsourcing. So I'll be going deeper on outsourcing, yeah.
Awesome. So without giving away, I guess, too much of the content, sort of generally, when it comes to live video, what kind of topics are you going to be touching on? And maybe we can kind of spiral out and talk about sort of the recent changes to Facebook and that sort of thing, and how that might impact or why you might want to use live video and stuff. So sort of what are you going to kind of be talking about on March 1st? Basically,
whenever I do a live seminar, I do a mind mapping where I break down on a piece of paper and then I cut it all out, literally with a scissors, and I line them all up on the table into chunks, and I break it down into different chunks. So the different chunks that I have in mind would be like, what tools do we use when we do our live feed, as far as the microphone, the lighting, the camera, the apps and programs that we use, that sort of thing. Then I also definitely want to relate it to the audience, and the audience is real estate. So how can a real estate agent leverage live video? So I'm going to go through the different ideas of how they can leverage it, as far as like the topics that they could go over. And then I'm going to give different tips that kind of like newbie tips, beginner tips that they should know, that sort of thing. And then I want to create a checklist for when you plan to go live, and I'm going to have a checklist for the people to be able to download as well. That's pretty much it. Do you want to just go into each one in like kind of have a
Yeah, you can
conversation
discuss
about
them
it?
if you like. I don't know how much you want to sort of give away ahead of time.
No, anybody who knows me, they know I give everything away. So
yeah, no, and actually that's kind of what I was going to mention too. I know you're a big fan of checklists, as I am. I like to have systems in place. I like to know what I'm doing. I don't want to miss anything, and I know that every session that I've attended with you, you provide a ton of content as far as just during the session, but then afterwards with like all the checklists that you make and plans are all available for free pretty much, and you're just giving them out, and that's a stellar feature in and of itself. So when you're going into the session, I guess, let's start from the beginning. Sort of where are you starting the session? Like what's the impetus for people to get into live video at this point in their careers and in this point in social media history, I guess?
Sure. Well, so my session is going to change. It's not going to be what we're doing today.
Sure.
But so I don't know exactly how I'm going to start it off. I think I should probably start off with what's in it for them. So I'm going to tune into the agents, showing them these are the ideas of what's working for live video. And before I even do that, I should say the reason why people are jumping on the bandwagon is because it gets so much organic reach. There's no other post that you can put online that will get as much organic reach as a live video. And I don't know if there's a magic number, but the longer the live video, the better. And the reason for that is because when a person is on Facebook, they get notified of like, oh, Dan Wood's on live, or you're on live, or whatever. Sure. And so the longer you're on live, the more notifications you can have being broadcasted. And then, so when you do a live video, Facebook is really pushing live video. So in their Facebook little algorithm, they're positioning that type of content ahead of other content that you're sharing. So say you share a YouTube video, for example. I can guarantee you the Facebook Live video is going to get more exposure on your friend's newsfeed than that YouTube link that you shared.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So a couple ideas for the agents would be open houses. So if I was say you're doing an open house, have you ever done an open house and nobody comes through? I know I have. I've done open houses and not a person showed up. So what I would do is I would do a live video, and I would go through, if you can get a gimbal, like a stabilizing camera, that would be better for when you're walking around. Or you could just do it like I have. I have my camera up on a tripod right now. So you could do it room by room and just kind of break down and be like, look at this magical pantry that we have, and look at the huge fridge and whatever. So you can go through and kind of show it. And what's neat is that live video, maybe you had nobody come through the open house, but you had 300 people view it online. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, what, you're talking to the audience, so you're engaging. It's not necessarily, it can be pre-planned, but it doesn't necessarily come across that way because it's live. So it's not like a slick video that's quick edited. And I've done plenty of them at open houses or while I'm there with the photographer and videographer taking the photos of the property and just kind of walking around. And it seems to get a lot more engagement. People just care more, and they're willing to sit there. I mean, I think the old wisdom that like the short, quick videos is kind of going out the window a little bit. People are looking for a little bit longer form content, and whether that's like 10 to 15 minute videos or half an hour to an hour long interviews and that sort of thing, it seems like people's patience is just coming back, I guess, in a way, because they just seem to be more engaged.
Unless it's a landing page. If it's a landing page, short video.
Yeah.
But if it's a Facebook Live, definitely I think feeds, longer is better.
Yeah, and I've done a bunch of these interviews now. I think you're the fourth or fifth one specifically for the OREA conference. And I've noticed, especially when I just finished one with Sandra Kirkland last week and Rebecca on Sunday, and those videos I'm noticing, they're probably the longest ones that I've done. They're about 50 minutes to an hour long each, and they definitely have, by the time I'm done, have way more views than the 10 to 15 minute videos that I've done.
You know why? Because during that hour, all these other people are popping on, and so they're all getting notified about it.
Absolutely, 100%, yeah.
What got me onto the Facebook Live thing was I had to go do a seminar at an office. I guess this was last year. Yeah. I did this seminar, and I Facebook Lived the whole seminar. And that one Facebook Live generated over 300 emails. So during the Facebook Live seminar, I said, anybody who's not here in person, if you want a copy of this, just message me your email. So that was my call to action. Over 300 emails I got from that one live video, and there was only 20 people in the room. So if I had just gone and done the seminar to the office, I would have got 20 emails, the 20 people in the room. But because I Facebook Lived it, I got 320. Yeah. So that was like my very first Facebook Live. It was a bad example. Like I had the camera was crooked, and it was like we're facing the wrong. It was a mess. So you fail your way forward. Like Facebook Live is it's not supposed to be edited and polished at all. It's totally like raw and uncut, and that's what people would expect.
Yeah, for the most part, and even going beyond that, I know for agents, a lot of them, and we're kind of discussing this with Rebecca as well. She'll be on the panel with you as well. That a lot of agents spend a lot of time in person doing like these first-time homebuyer seminars or investment seminars and that sort of thing. So it takes a big time commitment for people to be there. And generally speaking, you get, just like you said, about 10 to 20 people might show up. But if you Facebook Live that same seminar, now you're reaching a much wider audience and you're just expanding your reach. And you're more than likely, if you're providing information like you were at your seminar, more than likely to get people sending you emails, asking you questions, who might not otherwise take the time to leave their house on a Saturday morning and go spend 2 or 3 hours at a first-time homebuyer seminar.
We're taking those recordings and we're repurposing them as well. So when we do that Facebook Live, we've now got the recording. So I'll have a landing page about that event, and there's an option for people to watch pre-recorded session immediately, and they register a phone number and email, and as soon as they do, it sends them right to the video is embedded on our website. So we have our own website with the Facebook Live video embedded onto it, and we're repurposing. So that one session that I did took me an hour or whatever it took you, but then you could keep advertising it, and that homebuyer seminar could be running every Sunday for the rest of the year, and you don't have to lift a finger.
Absolutely, and even these videos that we're interviewing here, usually right afterwards I download them. It's really easy to do. Facebook makes it as easy as possible for you to get these set up now. As time goes on, compared to like doing these live videos like a year ago, it was kind of a pain. It really was. It was a pain, but now like with the setup that I have here, to use a microphone and a webcam a year ago was absolutely horrible. It's just all these different hoops you had to jump through. But today, it's like the easiest thing. It's a couple clicks of a button, and then you can download them really easy. Then I do polish them up and edit them a little bit, and then they end up on my YouTube channel. They end up, I use them for LinkedIn videos to talk about stuff there. We embed them, like you said, on landing pages, websites, and basically the whole point of it is, like you said, to drive traffic and to convert people into leads and to business eventually, right?
Well, it's part of the 4-hour work week. What can you do today that you can multiply and repurpose? This is hands down one of the best examples. Perfect. For sure. Yeah. So not everybody does open houses. So some people would be like, well, that's a good idea, but I don't do open houses, so how could I use Facebook Live? Well, if I had somebody joining my team, I would do a Facebook Live with the team member and kind of do like a mini interview. Give me a timeline of where you came from and how you got here today, and what are you focusing on, and what part of the community do you want to serve, and why did you join our team, and like kind of just like a little 5 to 7 minute interview. But I could also do that with our management. If I could do that with each of our managers, and what that's doing is that it's leveraging their database. So right now, you're live streaming with me, so you're going to tag me in this video. So there's a bunch of my friends that aren't friends with you. And so because you tag me in this video, now they're seeing you, and eventually some of them are going to trickle over to be Tony fans.
Yeah, of course. And even at the brokerage level, like you're saying, I know you can do at the team level, but for brokers or managers who are watching, the same idea. I mean, you can promote your brokerage that way. So every time
My God, I would be interviewing every new recruit, every new hire.
Yeah, every new hire, your
if
front
you haven't done it, I would do it with
staff.
I would do it with every agent in my office and just get caught up and create like a little resume reel.
Yeah. I mean, we've got, just here at RE/MAX Escarpment, I think we have an excess of about 500 agents. So, I mean, just in terms of content, if you're looking at our YouTube channel, if we had 500 introductory videos for our agents, you've got a pile of content for people. And then you get into, like I said, interviewing management staff, front desk staff, your marketing department, everybody who's on your team, your virtual team, gets their own little video, and you get to talk about them. So the people that want to hire you get to know that you've got this entire organization behind you that's helping you. So it's just another way to reach out to your clients, right?
That'd be good for agents to interview the back staff. So the front desk staff, the deal admin, because as an individual agent, the consumers don't know that we actually have an army of people working for you. So when you hire me as an agent, I might be an individual agent, but I've also got the lawyer, I've got the home stager, I've got the mortgage, I've got a home inspector, my front desk, my answering service. We've got all these different things. So you could create a little interview for each of them and then stitch them together as one video.
Yeah, I mean, just out here, I'm just using the boardroom at our office here in Upper James, and literally in the hallway right outside this boardroom, we have an in-house lawyer, an in-house RBC is our in-house mortgage provider, and we also have an independent mortgage broker here. We have insurance people on staff here in the office. So just going down this hallway, I've got about 6 different people that I could interview that are technically on my team that I refer to, or at least they're available if clients want to speak to them, as far as making this a one-stop shop for real estate. So I've got 6 different interviews that I can conduct just by walking down the hallway.
One a month, that's half a year. So if you did one video a month, you've already got half a year of your content provided.
And that's, for me, that's kind of what I'm planning. So I've already discussed it here because I can see the power of it, and I can see that people want to know who I work with. Beyond that, you know Conrad, my broker of record. His father, Louis, is probably the nicest guy that you're ever going to meet. The gentleman of gentlemen, we always call him. But he's been in real estate here in Hamilton probably upwards of 40, 50 years. And we sit in his office and we have coffee, and he just tells us, he spins these stories about real estate in Hamilton going back to the early 1900s. So basically, I'm going to sit with Louis and have coffee with Louis and get him to just talk about the history of real estate in Hamilton. And we've got probably, I could probably have enough content there for 5 years worth of monthly videos. So it's as simple as that, is just reaching out to the resources that you already have available, and just people that you talk to every day, and just sort of getting them to come on and just tell their stories or lend their expertise. And then you're creating that social credit. I think you're borrowing their expertise because you're, I guess, in the sideways kind of way, becoming an expert as well. People look at you, they know that you have the resources to bear when you need to complete a real estate transaction. You've got this whole group of people behind you, and you've got that history behind you. So that's really powerful stuff right there, for sure. So where do you go as far as, I guess, a portion of your talk is going to be talking about the apps and the technology involved as well, or how do you plan to proceed?
Yeah, sure. Before, there's one more point. I'd leverage my database as well. So if I had any real estate investors in my database, I would go interview them and do not a long interview, but just what got you into investing in real estate? What type of property do you have? What benefits do you see in it? That sort of thing. So if you had some real estate investor videos, just leverage your database. Also, in your own database, you've got a ton of local businesses. So in your database, you've got the roofer, the plumber, you've got a bakery shop. You've got all these people in your database that own other businesses. You could do a little intro video for each one of them, and it gives you a reason to reconnect with them.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, the idea is once you start sort of sitting down and picking apart and saying, who do I know? The ideas pretty much fill themselves in. You'll have lists and lists of ideas that'll keep you busy literally for the next few years, right? So,
can you still hear me? I walked away to get you something.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, cool. We're talking about tools. This is the best thing about live video, is you just go with it.
Oh, this is your camera that you showed me. Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, this is one of my. Okay, so before I show somebody this.
Right.
You don't have to buy it, right? We're talking about Facebook Live. What tools do you need for Facebook Live?
Your phone.
That's what you need, okay? You need a camera, and a camera phone, like a smartphone. That's what you need. So before you get all hung up on I need this fancy thing that Danny's flashing around, you don't need this, okay? I'm just going to give you some ideas on things that you might want to leverage. One of the big ones that I really like is this lav microphone. It's just LAV. So it clips on your shirt. It's not my favorite because it looks like ghetto trash. It looks like, to me, whenever I see a person wearing this in a video, to me I instantly think of poor quality video. But it makes the best audio, so win-lose. So what's cool about this particular microphone, it's called iRig, iRig. iRig. So this is the iRig lav mic, and what's cool about it is that two plug into one, and then this plugs into your phone. So if we're in person and I'm interviewing you, we both can be wearing the lav mic, and it goes into one video feed, and you don't have to do any editing. So this is the iRig lav mic. You definitely should get a microphone if you're going to do video. Now, this is a snazzy little tool. It's called the Mevo, M-E-V-O, Mevo. It's a little tiny camera that takes up hardly any space. So if I'm at a live event, I can put it on a tripod at the front of the room, and it's not intrusive, it's not bothering anybody. It does live video. So what's cool about this is that it will do a really wide shot and record it in 4K. Then I can zoom in to 8 different areas. So this is basically 8 cameras in one. So I could have one of the whole stage, another one of where my presentation stand is, another one of the PowerPoint screen, another one of the audience, and then I can set it to autopilot, and while I'm Facebook live streaming, it will automatically edit the video together based on whatever screen has the most action happening in it. So really, really cool, because you can't edit a live video. It's just live. It's live. You can edit it after and then re-upload it, but this actually does the editing live as you're filming. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's also expensive, so most people do not need that. Most people do not need that. Don't get carried away with buying stuff, but if you are, the iRig lav mic would be where you start.
Yep.
And then, what?
No, I was going to say, and I think I've had this discussion before with a few people too. We look across sort of the real estate industry, and there's a bunch of people doing live video or just doing videos in general. And it runs the gamut of everybody who's just using their phone to people who have like full video studios set up in their garage, right? So they've got green screens, and they've got big cameras, and they've got lighting, and they've got all that. So it looks kind of intimidating if you get to that level. But I look at guys like Michael Thorne out in the West Coast and Jesse Peters, and Michael just loves video. So he just loves the technology, and he loves all that. So he's the guy that's going to buy the latest gimbal and drones and all that sort of stuff, and he's going to be but that's because it's something that he loves really well. And I know Bruce Johnson up in Wasaga Beach, he used to be a photojournalist, so he's a camera guy. So he just loves. I didn't know that. Yeah, he used to be a photo. So he's just a camera guy. He just loves cameras. So he does a lot of his own listing videos because he just likes doing it himself. He loves editing them and stuff. But then I go to the other way and I look at Tony Joe out in Victoria, and hopefully we're going to get Tony on here later this week as well, because he's one of the ambassadors for the OREA event as well.
I didn't know that. Yeah,
and he's been doing video for probably close to a decade. And what he does, he does monthly market updates in Victoria. Finds a nice place to stop at the side of the road between appointments. He has a tripod. He has a $10 little adapter that, to attach his phone to the tripod, and his phone. And he just stands there with this beautiful backdrop in Victoria and just reads out the monthly stats. And he's been doing that for about 10 years or so. He does other fancier videos as well, of course, and stuff. But basically, just to stay in touch with his people and his database, he's been doing that. And he's at the point now where when CTV or somebody like that needs a local real estate expert to come up and talk, he's the guy that they call. And he does, like I said, the simplest videos just with his phone. He happens to have a cheap tripod that he bought years ago, and off of Amazon, bought a little $10 adapter so that his phone can attach to the tripod. And he uses Victoria, the backdrop of beautiful Victoria. And it's about the content. It's about just being consistent, being there. Like at this point, I think people will kind of expect you to be there on a fairly regular basis, or at least to have the content available so that you can build that audience. But you don't have to get really fancy. I've got a really old laptop and about a $100 webcam and about a $50 microphone. And everything else I use is free. The software, Facebook Live, pretty much, and I have a video editor software that I bought for about $100 for when I do a little bit more editing and stuff. So in total, my investment is under $300, and I do consistently put out live video and all the time. So
I'm using the Logitech camera. I had to lean forward. So this is one thing. If I was using the camera built into my laptop, that's fine. But can you see the angle that it's at? You'd be looking up my nose.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not a very attractive look. So anyways, I'd rather have an external camera so that I can position it, and then I can also move my laptop to where I need it too. So an external webcam, very key. If you're going to use a handheld stick, I like this one. Obviously, okay, there's the gimbal ones, Gimbal, Gimbal Osmo.
Osmo, there's a Shinyun has one as well, yep.
So those will stabilize the camera, and they're electronic. They're really good, but they're expensive. So this is like the cheap man version. And what's cool about it is that you can see my sync. So it'll like wrap around things, and it's magnetic. So I can put it somewhere, like up in a tree branch. So say I'm at a new listing, I could put it up in the tree, and this will hold my camera. I have to get the camera attachment put onto it. But like this little thing, it's the Goby, Goby, I think.
Yep, there's Gobies, there's Gorillas.
And it's magnetic too. So this is like really universal, cheap, rather cheap and expensive thing. You talk about software. So we're talking about Facebook Live, so there really isn't any video editing. But if you want to export that video and then edit it, what software did you download?
Oh, once I get into the point where I'm editing, I purchased CyberLink Power Director. I use a Windows-based PC, so that's the equivalent of like a Final Cut that you would use on a Mac if you're using a Mac. So it's a bit more advanced, but honestly, the entire package costs $100, and I've been using it for at least 2 or 3 years now, and it is more powerful. It will do everything that I needed to do and then some. So,
and more, yeah. I used to use I have Adobe Premiere, and it's too complicated. Like you have to go to university to learn how to use the thing. So I ended up shifting over to Camtasia, which I used for quite a while, and now my go-to one is Filmora, Filmora. That is the main video editing program that a lot of the YouTube stars, these kids, that's what they're using. And Filmora is like a super easy, does all the basic stuff, but really well, and it's really pretty cheap. I think it's like $89 or something.
Yeah, back in the day, I started with. It comes like if you're just starting and you want something free to play around with until you're comfortable. Like the Mac comes usually with iMovie, and Windows used to come with what was called Windows Movie Maker, turned into Live Movie Maker, and now they've got a couple of other free apps that you can download for Windows and stuff. And back then,
GoPro has a free GoPro editor. It's like Quick Editor or something like that. Yeah. It's free, and it works on PC and Mac, but
and the PC one, like I used to use the Windows one, it actually did a couple of things better than my more expensive software did. So when I had to add titles, or when I had to put like our names down below like they are here, it was the free software actually made it easier to do that kind of thing than the more expensive one does. So everyone has its advantages, and you could edit videos together, you could add music to them, and they were free. So basically, to get started, it was sorry, there's a little speaker going there. To get started, it's a perfect place to go. So basically, like I said, YouTube is free, Facebook is free. Even if you're not editing, if you are just using your webcam, you can prop up your laptop so you get the right angle and stuff, but at least you get started. And like I said, you don't really need anything fancy to do it. The webcam that I purchased, a Logitech one, probably the same kind of one you have, the C316 or whatever it is, has a microphone built in. So if it's close enough to you and you've got it propped up, it's got a pretty decent mic built in. So basically that's it. It was a $100 webcam, and you've got HD quality video and decent audio. And really, beyond that, it's kind of like just coming up with the content. And like we mentioned before, once you really start, as far as the real estate agents are concerned, once you really start to dig into it, you got tons and tons of content that you can talk about all the time. I try to cover sort of current events, so changes to mortgage rules, or just general changes in the real estate industry. So that's provided to you all the time. And then just as an agent, talk about, people buying their first houses, people buying investment properties, all the things that you need to know. What do you need to know about like septic systems and roofs and all that sort of stuff. And if you don't know, bring somebody on who does, right? I mean,
what's this tool? What's this screen? I can't see. I'm assuming that they're looking at that blue screen and it's I'm on one side and you're on the other.
Yeah.
What's that tool?
OBS is that's the one I showed you when you were in the office a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
The Open Broadcasting Software or Broadcaster Software, OBS. It's OBS Studio. I think you can look it up. You can download a free version, which is what I'm using, and it works extremely well. There is a paid version that you can get as well, but it allows me to add these frames and stuff. It allows me to do transitions, so I can transition here where it's just you on the screen with the frame, and then me side by side, and that just involves a little bit of pre-planning. And the actual frames that are around us right now, I just created in PowerPoint, and I exported them into a PNG graphic file. I use GIMP instead of Photoshop. GIMP is free, GIMP. You can download it for free. It's basically a light version of Photoshop that's completely free, so I use it to edit all my graphics. Or you can even use Canva online, canva.com, to edit some stuff and make these little graphics for yourself. And then basically, like I said, OBS is free. It allows me to bring in audio tracks. I can fade. I can do pre-roll, end-roll. Pretty much everything that you see me doing here is done with free software. The only thing I really paid for was PowerPoint because I bought the Office program, right? So,
we should do a switch where I live stream you, and we'll go through the whole process of how you set it up, because then you could use that and I could use it.
Absolutely, yeah. And so we just came up with some more content. There you go. It's that easy. So as far as your talk goes, so that's you're going to kind of expand on that as far as video goes. You're going to be on the panel with Andrew and Rebecca talking about social media strategies. So what's sort of the general idea behind that panel? What sort of discussion are you going to be having there?
Well, I'm very much going with the flow because I am a marketing baby. When I was a kid, I used to have binders. This is so stupid, but I used to have binders of ads that I thought were really compelling. So I used to collect advertising. I would rewind commercials to see how they're selling the story.
Me too.
I sign up to go to timeshare pitches just so I can get a lesson in sales.
I didn't quite go that far, but I used to go to the library. And there was a book every year that was the annual like marketing awards for print ads or whatever. And just this big massive book. Yeah, and I would just sit there. I'd look through that like hours upon hours, just looking through those, just the way they're laid out, the design, and just the trends and marketing and advertising. I just loved it. I just love it. So it's just, to me, it's second nature almost at this point. But
so when I go and we do this thing, I'm going to go very much with the flow based on the audience, the questions, and the people I'm sharing the stage with. So depending on the conversation at hand, I know I'm just going to be able to like wing it, but it's not winging it. Like winging it, I've been doing this since like 2007, so it's not winging it. But anyways, it's not a planned PowerPoint presentation. It's more of like whatever is the best value add during that conversation. And I know the conversation is going to be focused around marketing and technology, so like generating leads, lead follow-up, that sort of thing. So I know they're going to be talking about Facebook. We might talk about Google. Video should be included in on that. So I know it's going to be, with the three of us, Andrew, Rebecca, and myself, I know it's going to be a really good topic. I just don't know the exact details of what I'll be talking about because I'm just going to be like filling in the void.
Sure. And I think, I'm not sure with all the panels, but I know some of them will open up some Q&A to the audience as well. So we'll see kind of how that goes as well. And pretty much, it's very much scheduled like a Inman conference or a TED-style talks. Most of the panels and presentations are like between 10 and 25 minutes long max.
25. I'm 25.
Yeah, so the individual presentations are generally about 25. A lot of them are like 10, 15 minutes long. So the content is actually going to move along pretty quickly. So it's going to be an interesting few days there because it's just going to be a lot to absorb, really, in basically 3 days of conferences, in addition to all the standard OREA stuff that we need to sort of address, association business, I guess you want to talk, if you want to talk about that. Anybody
who can't make the conference comes first. You can make the conference, go to the conference. Anybody who can't make the conference and you're in the GTA area on March 2nd in Mississauga from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock, It's a brand new concept, and it's not a seminar. People are just going to show up. I want to get 5 to 16 people in a room.
Yep.
We're all going to go around the table and say, what are the things that you want to get done that you haven't started or that are really burning you? So like some people need to get this particular landing page done, or some people have to create their testimonial video, or whatever it is. So we're going to go around the table. Then we're going to address which ones are the most important to you. And then after that, the rest of the day is hands-on implementing. You're going to actually just kind of break off into different groups and work on your own project. The biggest problem is like people procrastinate and they don't get certain things done because it's easier to open up the email and put out those fires than it is to start a. So what we're going to do is we're going to get that big ball rolling for people. And then there's a green room, so you can come in and you can do video. There's plenty of parking. It's free. And it's 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock on the Friday, March 22nd, to avoid rush hour, and providing lunch as well. So it's a pretty sweet deal. So anybody who can't make the conference, if you've got a project that you're like, oh man, I really wish that I had a cleaner database or whatever, it's not like I'm going to be standing there saying, okay, this is my theories and this is a PowerPoint, and you're just kind of like sitting there watching. It's you actually are going to like do the work of whatever it is you say you want to do. Cool. So I invite anybody to that.
Cool. And how do they get in touch with you to sort of arrange that?
Oh, yeah.
Details?
Anybody, you're going to tag me on this video, so they can just click on my profile and send me a message. If you want to text me, my cell number is 905-903-5442. Texting is the best. So text or call that number or message me through Facebook. I forgot to tell you, one of the tools I use.
Okay, yeah. I can't hear you now that you took it off.
Sonic is what it's called. So what I like about this is, like, people buy really expensive microphones, and I've gone through so many microphones. I've spent hundreds of dollars on microphones, and like they all sound relatively the same. And because I'm always doing webinars from an airport and a hotel and stuff, I can't be lugging around a big blue Yeti microphone. So I just use this. It's a Bluetooth earbud that works on my phone when I need it, but I actually use it only for doing these type of interviews. So whenever I'm doing a live video or a video from my computer, this is my microphone. It sounds good enough, and it's so small. It's like awesome.
Yeah, and look at that, for Facebook Live, it's not necessarily like you can get the better quality microphones and stuff. I mean, this is about as good as I've got right now. Yeah. This is my Snowball, blue Snowball microphone that I bought on sale, I think, for about $60 or $80 kind of thing. And it's more than good enough for what I need it to do. But you can get, like you said, into the really expensive microphones and that sort of stuff. And, you know, if you're interested in that sort of thing, go right ahead and do it. I don't think people really expect that from a live video on Facebook kind of thing. So they're pretty much expecting, I think, phone call quality. That's kind of the way I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with this thing, I can just walk around. Like, I walked to go get this video from the other room. Yeah. And so, like, I didn't have a cable dragging around and knock my computer over. It's just like, I'm a free bird, man. I can walk around and do what I want.
Yeah. You are definitely a free bird, dude.
Cool.
I love talking to you, dude. I know I don't want to take up too much more of your time. We've been here for about 45 minutes or so. Have you looked through the list of speakers? Are there certain other speakers that you're kind of interested in seeing at the conference? I know they're covering blockchain technology. They're talking legalization of cannabis, how that's going to affect the real estate industry. Just a whole bunch of different things happening there.
It's not only the people to go in here, but it's the people to be in the room with. There's about 700 tickets that are being sold for this, and it's going to be a lot of high-level thinkers. So it's almost as important as the people in the room and the networking that you can get from that. So that I'm really in it for that part. Not that I'm in it for anything. Anyways, I'm grateful to be there. I love that I'm doing 3 sessions, and I'm not really in it for anything, except for I'm constantly trying to grow my database and sphere of influence, and there's no better place in Ontario, presently speaking, than at that conference.
Yeah, I think, you know what, the more I look at it, I was lucky enough, I had the opportunity to go down to Inman Connect in New York a couple weeks ago, as I've mentioned here a few times. That definitely was the best conference I've ever been to. The level of the content provided was great, But even beyond that, like you said, it's just being in the room with those people. A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of startup companies, people that were just really looking to push the envelope as to what could be done, and people who are really just sort of just excited and hungry and serious, like focused on the business and wanting to work. And they weren't just there sort of to take some time out of their day to have fun, although we did have a lot of fun. But they were just really business-minded, very like-minded people that you just, wanted to improve things in general for the industry. But then we really had like serious nuts and bolts discussions offline when we were just in, after the conference is over, hanging around having lunch or dinner, that kind of thing about, what are you doing that works? Like, what do you find that works in your area? Maybe it'll work where I'm at, and all that kind of, that exchange of ideas was just priceless. I mean, it's not something that's listed on the agenda, but it's something that kind of comes with the conference. And the OREA conference, to be honest, when I started looking through the agenda, is probably the closest thing that I've seen to an Inman style or TED Talk style conference here in Ontario. And I've been to rebar camps, and I've been to sort of Remax events and all that sort of stuff, and I've been invited to other brokerage events and that sort of thing. And I'm really excited about this one. It's the first time they've done it this way, so I'm really excited to see how it turns out. And I think it bodes well for the future of the industry here, that we're getting this many people together that are really interested in doing business and making the industry better. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there.
It could be entertaining too, because they're really opening the doors for those hard conversations, because they really want to hear from the community.
Yeah.
OREA does. And so if you just wanted to be on a fly on the wall, I bet there will be some very interesting conversations that may not sound positive, because when you ask questions and then answer them and questions and answer, it could go back and forth. So it could be just entertaining to kind of just like grab some popcorn and watch everything.
Well,
like,
there's a few people coming. Like, I know, like, if you want to talk real estate hot button issues, like whichever side of the issue you happen to be on, Zillow's going to be there.
Right. That's the popcorn part.
Yeah. Christy Clark, the former premier of British Columbia, is going to be there. She was, in charge when they brought in the foreign buyers tax, and when they took away the self-regulation part of the real estate industry for BC realtors. So that's going to be interesting.
Incorporation, I think they're going to be talking about that, maybe?
Yeah, incorporation, maybe? Yeah.
I think so.
They're going to be talking about, Rob Hahn will be there talking about his take, and he's usually pretty straightforward, if nothing else, and he'll be talking about what he sees as imminent threats to the real estate industry and how we can deal with them, or if we deal with them. So yeah, there's a lot of not necessarily the tame, nice sort of real estate conference you might think. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff happening, and like you said, bring your popcorn, because it's going to be interesting at points, I'm sure. So yeah, I think that's it. I don't see any questions from anybody.
What? Well, ask afterward. When the recording's done, still ask your questions, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to continue to post below, ask questions. Danny's giving you his contact information. You can find both of us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that sort of stuff, so please feel free to reach out and ask questions. Basically, I've got a few comments like, great content. They appreciate that we went over the hardware and all that sort of stuff that we're using. But other than that, people are just kind of happy to watch along and listen, so that's always great too. That's about it. I appreciate you taking the time. I hope it's sunny in Florida. It's kind of getting sunny here, but meh.
See the tan? I'm working on it, buddy. I'm waiting until all my freckles merge into one big freckle. I'm about 60% away, so
there you go. I'm half like Irish, Scottish, white boy, so I have to be careful in the sun too. But my Italian side kind of balances it out, so I don't know what that means exactly, but I appreciate you taking the time. I will see you. It's about a week away. Yeah, so I'll see you next week for sure. And I'm sure we'll have a bunch of stuff to talk about when you get into town. So thank you, dude. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
So that was Danny Wood. I am just going to transfer over to our camera here. And I am going to just mute him here. Just give me a second here so he can sneeze and do all the things that he needs to do. So Danny's free to go now, so that's awesome. That's it. So that was Danny Wood from Dan Wood Coaching. You can find him at BrokerageNation.com. You can find him on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, like I mentioned. If you do have any questions, like I said, feel free to leave them down below. We'll try to add some links to the video to some of the content that Danny provides. You can go to his YouTube channel. He's got tons of videos there. If you are an agent looking to streamline your business, looking to learn how to generate leads, if you want to download checklists, he's got tons of video content there, all for free, just for you. And he'll be in town next week at the conference, February 27th to March 1st. His sessions are actually on March 1st, so he's like the nicest, most approachable guy that you can imagine. So feel free to talk to him at the conference, connect with him, find out what he can do for you if you're at the brokerage level or at the agent level, and get you started that way. So again, I do appreciate you all tuning in. It is just about time for me to go, so I appreciate it. Again, it is, what day is today? Tuesday. It is Tuesday. I'll be talking with some other people, maybe my friend Amanda, who's on this feed, later today on her feed, and later this week, on Friday, actually, I'll be talking with Sarah Kulke. She is not a OREA ambassador, but I will be having an interview with her on Friday. I'm trying to see if we can arrange to have Tony Joe from Victoria, BC on here on Thursday, also previewing the conference and just going over some of the topics in the conference. Like as I mentioned, former Premier Christy Clark from British Columbia will be there. So Tony's going to give us a perspective on what's happening in real estate in British Columbia as sort of a preamble to her presentation at the conference. And whatever else we can get going, we'll try and get it going for you before the actual conference starts. If you have any questions or anything like that, please let me know. And that is it for me today. So thank you all for tuning in. I love you all. I really do. And as always, I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.